Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? It's good to see you. Yeah, tonight I wanted to do a show about triggers. Like the one I was talking about doing last week, but I decided to do a thank you show instead. Um, some triggers are pretty obvious. If you're going through like financial crisis or a relationship crisis situation, those triggers are natural. Some people with seasonal triggers, that's also a fairly natural one. But I want to get into some of the ones that are a little less commonly known. Not necessarily not common, but not commonly known, as well as ways to kind of combat those others. Mallory, it's great to see you. And one of those things is obviously you want to be around friends as much as possible. If you deal with certain ones, maybe if you can be around somebody physically, typically if you can be around somebody physically, it's actually your best option if you are or have been triggered and you know it, or you have a feeling you're about to be. Then your second best option is to like video chat, Zoom, whatever your whatever platform you're going to use. Then you'd want phone calls would be next, and then some kind of messaging service, texting, or some kind of instant messenger. But that's just ways to combat some of it. But there's other things as well. But I want to get into this a little bit tonight because we are getting into a season where people are triggered a lot. One of them, since Mallory's here, here's a good one. Some people get triggered by sports teams. Your sports team doesn't go well. And there's some people that are like super fans that really do not deal well with their teams doing badly. Lando, good to see you, brother. And these type of triggers can kick in at any moment, and it's sometimes it's tough to recognize them. In sports, you could tell that was it. Seasonal change. Sometimes that creeps up on you. You don't realize it. So keep a journal, keep a log of some sort to let you know when you're feeling this way, and try to recall what might have happened to cause the trigger. If you do this, you can actually avoid triggers as well as learn to get ready and prepare yourself for them. It's not always an easy thing to do. Yeah, there you go. Someone uh, poking fun at a loved one or a friend, or sometimes it's just people that are different, and you see somebody poking fun at them, and it really can trigger you. You see this happen in the street. I did it once. I had that issue in high school. There was somebody who was had tubes in his head and had problems with his brain, and his head to actually swell. And they were picking on him and slamming his head against the locker. So yeah, I got in trouble because I bent the locker with their head. That was actually an interesting situation because I went into the office, wound up at a 3-day suspension, but a thank you at the same time from the principal. So it was kind of weird. I don't know. I think that was the day that he started to like me, like me. Actually, it might have happened before that, but it was weird. But yeah, baseball team. Somebody's gonna die. That happens, Lando. It's really sad but true. Think about like the dry spell. Think about the Boston Red Sox and their the curse situation. That went on so long. You had literally an entire generation that might never have seen their team win, and used to get frustrated because it comes so close and then they'd never make it, never win. So that it can be a trigger. But the thing is being able to recognize triggers and recognize they're coming or they happened. Sometimes it can be a family member or a friend that you hear when you hear from them or talk to them, or they bring up a certain subject that can be your trigger. And in that case, sometimes it's unavoidable, and it can really it's good to recognize it and have someone around it when you recognize it. Let them know as quick as possible. Hey, Ian, as quick as possible, you let them know that you're having this. Your support system know that this is happening, or prepare for your support system. Prepare yourself mentally to call somebody, to contact somebody, even if it's a hotline or one of the other types of anonymous situations where you can talk to somebody. Prepare yourself mentally that if you feel this coming on, you can get over it, because sometimes it's not as easy as when it kicks in. You're like, don't feel like doing it. So you got to like make yourself a promise and push yourself through it and force yourself to do it. It's a really difficult thing to do. Yeah, Cubs in their 100-year wait. See, it can be frustrating. Even a sports team like that. But if you see a friend, there's people that, and there's the other thing. As hard as it is, and this can be a trigger in itself, you can trigger yourself by creating a way out of a trigger. Walking away from a friendship because that friendship does nothing but cause you anxiety, pain, or gets you into trouble. That can be a trigger itself, just walking away. But being in that friendship is also a trigger. So it's like you torn. It's hard, and it might even be harder at that moment to deal with that walking away trigger situation. But in the long run, you'll be better off for it. Once you get through that hump and through that situation, you are off to a better start, and you shouldn't have to deal with that possibly ever again. At least not with that person. Yeah, background noises while we're recording. Well, I don't live alone, and I live with a place where there's lots of traffic, unfortunately. Highway behind me, older highway, throughway behind me, highway in front of me. But yeah, that's it too. Anybody ever go to the movies, and that can be kind of a trigger for just, you look forward to something, a movie or a venue of some sort. You get there, and it's just not up to par. It's not as good as you expected. So you worked yourself up for this, and then you just feel that like letdown and that depression, because maybe especially this past year and a half, when you don't get out as much, you get that really severe drop. Like you got this big expectations and gone. They're just gone. And that can be an extreme trigger because you don't even realize that you're not expecting it, and it's just your heart just drops out. You feel depressed, anxious, or just like you wasted your time going. Or you go to the store. I'm pretty sure a few of you have done this before. You go to the store, and what you go to the store for is either sold out by the time you get there, or they don't have it in stock, or price went up from maybe just a day or two before even it went up, and you just can't afford it. These things can be a extreme trigger, and it's something you can't prepare for. So what it is prepare yourself to have that safety net. Make sure that you have people. Hey, RJ. Make sure you have people around you, and or a situation. Write it down if you need to, because if you get to the point where once you're triggered, you can't think, and that's very common, or you just can't bring yourself to do it. Write your promise to yourself that you will call or contact somebody. Write it out where you can see it, where you can't deny it, and you'll be like, did I lie to myself? And it might be a little bit, but that could be the little bit of edge it pushes you over the top to actually reach out. RJ, that's nice that you can actually be here for a change. We had that talk last night. People in the military, triggers from PTSD. You can't tell if something's going to happen. A slammed door, a loud bang, anything could be the trigger. And that can happen with, relationship situations. Maybe you had a bad relationship, or, a car accident. There's so many things that can cause that PTSD moment. That's stuff you can't prepare for because you never know it's coming. But you can always prepare yourself for the inevitable situation. It's bound to happen at some point. So, it's difficult. It truly is difficult to make sure you maintain your support system. And you got to keep that promise to yourself you will. Because once you get in that funk, most of us don't want to reach out. I made that mistake badly one time, and I know exactly how bad it can be. Yeah, see, yeah, dumping a friend, but say it's a long-term, lifetime friend. Um, this happens with addictions as well. That you think about it, in a way, you can treat, when it comes to that type of relationship, someone who triggers your mental health, they can also trigger addictions, or you can kind of follow them in the same boat. They do kind of go parallel to each other. If somebody's not good for you, then it's hard, because it isn't that you don't necessarily care for the person. It's that it's better for your mental health. And if you're suffering to the point where you know it's just intolerable, or it's bleeding out in a way towards other people, or even back towards them in a negative way, it might be better for you to just walk away. It's difficult, especially if something happens to them. You can't blame yourself, because what if you don't, it could be you that has the problem. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Write your triggers and situations. Trigger that way. There you can, they're life changing, and you can actually look back at that, and it's really good. Like RJ was just saying there, if you are in the military and you have dealt with a traumatic moment, make sure you keep track of that, because you might not know it then, and it might not happen then. It could happen. Probably the most likely scenarios, if it doesn't happen while you're in the military, it's when you're home adapting back to civilian life. That's when it kicks in, and you start to feel different, and you get these weird anxieties and these weird moments, and you don't understand why. And you're not thinking, well, something that happened 5, 6, 8, 10 years ago, depending how long you were in, could be something that's triggering you now. But if you had that journal, you had those things written down, you might look back and go, oh, well, that kind of does remind me of that. That is the kind of feeling I get from it. Or that is, and you might be able to make that connection that you might not understand. Yeah, you can't choose your family, but even family, you can choose the limit, or even if you necessarily have to cease contact with an individual. It's it's not easy. It's not necessarily fair, but if that person is truly causing you extreme distress, and sometimes, I mean, there are situations where it can be just talking to that person or hearing that person trying to contact you could be the trigger. Could be somebody in your life that maybe caused you issues back in your childhood. Unfortunately, that can be a parent. And if that is the case, no, you have to worry about your mental health first, because what good are you if you don't? You're not really helping them either if you just break down like almost every time you talk to them. It's difficult. Sometimes you have to make the hard choice for your own personal health. And that's a I don't wish it upon anyone, but sometimes you have to. There are times in your life that when certain people being around you is just not good, and maybe later you can revisit that and say, "Hey, am I strong enough now that I could deal with it?" And maybe give it a try again. But make sure you're really sure. Don't jump back into it prematurely, because then you're back to square one. And then if you keep doing that, it just becomes a cycle, and you keep hurting yourself. And in the end, sometimes you can hurt yourself to the point where you don't want to be here anymore. And that's the number one reason I do these shows, is to avoid anyone ever getting to that point. I don't want you to have to go through that. So, yeah. Anyone want to mention, well, I'll shout them out during the show, but if anyone wants to mention any certain triggers that they know of that maybe either are common or not, it doesn't matter. Triggers that they know that exist that maybe bother them or someone they care about. I mean, it's always good to get them out there, because it might help someone else realize that they're having the same trigger and they don't know it. Hi, Nate. How you doing? And I know that politics has been a big trigger for me for a while now. For the last few years, politics has been a trigger that I never thought would be. I truly believed that I would never be affected by politics, because I could care less. And then once you start to get into advocacy side of things, politics are like anxiety ridden. The news, when it's fake news, can be infuriating. And the ads on TV, has anybody seen the truth ads lately? I'm sorry, excuse me, have to go there. The truth ads, does anyone else get triggered by them every time they come on? Like, just want to like wring someone's neck. I can't help it. Addie Tooney, my brother. Yeah, be more like Addie is a serious thing. I got someone described him last night as a calming, soothing force, or soothing entity in our community, and it's true, Addie. You really are death and anniversaries are a huge trigger. They're coming up for me. November 7th was the day my son passed, and then his birthday is December 29th. So yes, this is that season that I look forward to Halloween, and then after Halloween, it gets harder for me. And if it wasn't for this family, and I can tell you this 100% from the last 2 years, this family here is what keeps me going, keeps me in a much, much better mental state than I ever would have been any other way. Yeah, Addie, that's a good question. How are you? How's mom? And how's the wife, Addie? So, hello, Lando. What in the horror? Huh? No, the way it's word. How are you?
At least it doesn't say what in the whores.
We're gonna did that thing again. See, don't you gotta love it too. Dangle clack. It went through my speaker instead of through my headset. There we go. I had to restart my headset. There we go. Now I should be able to hear you through my headset, and everybody else will be able to hear you
use the
too.
cords that were better than Bluetooth. Because
Well,
these are
I thought that
Bluetooth
too,
as
but
well.
you know how many times I had the cord upstairs and I'd walk away and forget they're around. Yep. Yeah. There's nothing more
Why
fun
does
than
that
getting your
not
head yanked
strike?
up. That's good to know, Addie. No, all of you, how are you doing too? Before we get into any more of the triggers, how are you doing right now? RJ, yeah, that is a really sad thing. It actually is one of the saddest things around because there's a good percentage of the homeless that are vets that just couldn't acclimate back to society in a normal way, or they got back and they didn't know how to deal with the regular civilian life.
My
Everything's
dad's like
different.
that. That's what triggered his drinking again after he left the military for the 20 billionth time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Addictions and your mental health usually go alongside each other. If you're feeling really good about yourself and doing well, that's usually when you don't have the problems with the addictions. It's your addictions and your vices become more prevalent and more used when you're not doing well. It's and it could be as simple as everything can be going fine. How many people know someone that when things are going well, that's what triggers them. They're looking for that next bad thing, and they'll create it. You'll watch them. You'll watch them create it, even
And
though
they're done that.
it, it it happens all the time, and it's really sad to see, but it does. We've seen people in this community create drama where there really doesn't need to be drama because they're stressed over something else, but they don't know how to create a proper outlet because it's not easy. Those We don't have an outlet. Do we truly have an outlet for what we don't like when it comes to politics or the media? What's our outlet? This. This is probably one of the best forms of the outlet is I can get it off my chest. If anyone wants to come in and they need to get it off their chest, they can. This is probably one of the best forms of an outlet in that situation. There's not a lot we can do. We can try, but yeah, that it was very rum forward. That ice cream was last night. It was tasty, and it has rum in it, so it's actually really nice. Yeah, it's rum tres leche or something like that. It's really good. So yeah, and the caramel blueberry espresso. Got to wait for that cream because I put cream in it to settle down, but it turned out pretty good. And the trifle, the butterscotch bourbon cake, butterscotch bourbon cake with the rum raisin and then the amaretto whipped cream. That's actually steeping really nice. Very boozy. Now, Bloomberg is actually one of my triggers. The guy himself, just the fact that someone cares so little about. He calls himself a humanitarian, but yet literally will throw lives away, let people, millions, just countless actually, if you really think about it, because what he's done in his life, what he's continuing to do with his media, has almost limitless lives lost. We don't know how far that goes. There's no actual way to count it because we're not talking now, we're talking the future, because anyone that could have been a force for trying to help with harm reduction might not be because of his media. How many different legislations have actually based themselves off of his media? That guy is, and the thing is, you hear him talk about it, he knows better. He just has this personal, he wants some kind of legacy, and he's decided the legacy is to throw people under the bus, and now they set in, he can't stop. And I don't, sorry, it's just, ugh. Yes, he's a big trigger for me. Like when I go to the hearings and stuff like that and talk to these politicians, I actually realize that a lot of it is just that media is a big factor in their wrong choices. His media is a big driving factor, but there's also the fact that they don't have time to study everything, and there's studies on both sides, and they're like, well, I can't look into see which one. I don't have the time for this. So that's why you still need to fill out your paper, fill out whatever you can as far as your personal story. Story matters because that's what's going to tell them things. Your journey into a healthier lifestyle is a big thing, and that goes not just for this, but anything that's a positive in your life. Make sure your politicians know because they can't always research deep into whatever it is in order to keep up with all the different legislation you have to deal with. So let them know your story about anything that really matters to you. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't mean we all have to agree on it. It matters to you. It's important. That's all there is to it. Yeah, the money throws. Ugh. And the kids thing. Okay, we can have millions of adults die and let kids pick up smoking, which we know kills people. Will kill them later in life. Let's go ahead and have that happen and not let them choose a less harmful choice in their life. How is that for the kids? No, that's for your own legacy. There's no way around it. It is really hard not to get angry about that. How about you, Lando? Does that infuriate you too? Here we go.
Very
X1 in
much.
chat. X1 in chat. If Bloomberg and his news infuriates you, and it doesn't even have to be about vaping. It's just now that you know, and the veil has been pulled from your eyes, how much it irritates you. Fresh rewick with the K Fun. Hey, look, Addy, I haven't screwed it up again.
Yeah, people like that get under my skin too, because as people know, I can't afford to get shit like this anymore, and it's thanks to politicians and shit for raising the tax on vapor liquid, and then you get all the misinformation that people like my mother believe.
Yep, my
And
mother did the same thing. Finally, it's turned around a little bit, but her living in New York got double whammy because they pushed those campaigns hard on the TV over there, even when the rest of us didn't see it. She was literally sending me video that she'd taken of some of the commercials on TV when she was trying to argue the point because she thought it was all true. It's like we didn't even have those commercials here at that time. It was really weird. Um, there is a plus side to this. Thank you, Addie. Yes, for the link. There's a really plus side to this. If you really pay attention, you let yourself get absorbed by the positives, the positive people. We have Bloomberg. Yes, obviously he's a big trigger for many of us. For me, there's a few people that are the opposite. One of them's in chat, Addie. Addie always kind of brings me up whenever I see him. When he posts those links, he posts them because he cares about our community. He cares about that suicide prevention, David Eric Memorial. The dull dimes. He's always doing something positive, posting the links for us to protect our rights. Addie's one of them. And yes, I love my brother Grim Green, Nick. He's just, there's some people that just keep plugging along, keep doing it, and have been doing it for so long that just there's others, but I would say they're family now. They have become family, and if I don't know, I can't tell you how many times I've had a bad day and just seen Addie post something in chat and it just brings me up. Not necessarily what he's putting in there. It's always something in a positive light, and that can just make you realize there's good in this world. If that's what it takes to focus on, do it. Add the link. Yeah, Addy is the link master. And mix master and modder. And he's got a list. His list is pretty long. I really don't know the extent of it. I know it's pretty fast.
It's pretty fucking long. Trust me.
Yeah.
I've known Eddie for a while.
Yep. Yeah, Addy. Thank you, Addy. I mean it. I don't know what I would do without you and Nick in my life with everything. With the advocacy thing, I think it would have burned me out a long time ago without just having people like you and Nick around. It really does give you that drive. And that's why one of the reasons why I think that it's important that we reach out as a community and safety net each other, check on people that are doing advocacy for us, the people on those front lines, the people that are constantly posting, researching. It gets to them. It's going to burn you out if you don't have, the support, letting people know, it really matters for one. But also, are you making sure to take care of yourself? Are you making sure to take a little time off and relax? I'm getting this quite a bit. I'm not good at it. I don't tend to take time off and relax. I had a show that didn't happen this week because of a funeral situation. And guess what? I went up on 2 more shows than normal this week. So what's that tell you? I did it backwards, huh? So thank you, Addy. Yeah, and the Discord's there for anyone who needs help at any time. And if you can't get it there, message me on any of the social media as an advocate for liberty, and I will make sure to get you a fresh link if that link for some reason does not work. And that's always there as others as well. Ask. We will help you and guide you in the right direction. Maybe you have a certain type of thing that you'll really enjoy. We might know of a community, a Discord, or something like that that's tailored to what your hobbies are. Maybe you're not a vapor.
Know what my hobby is.
Yeah, that's horrific. I mean, yeah, cool. No, it is. It is nice to have a break there, and that actually forces me to take that break too. Remember, I thanked you for this before, Lando. Every 2 weeks, I have to sit down for at least 2 movies and take a break from all of this, which doesn't seem like much, but with the way I go, I get so absorbed in it, and I don't always remember to take that time. So it is a nice way to make sure that I'm not nonstop going at it. Lately, it has been very busy. RJ saw that last night. I don't know if RJ's still here, but he saw it last night. I just didn't really show him what it was. Just scrolled through my phone real quick. And I go, those are messages just since we've been talking. And he goes, wow. But that's a typical day. And I do that because I've been on the other end of that where I didn't have someone to talk to. And I will always try to be there for someone if I possibly can. Some of them were just responses because I do reach out to at least a handful of people every single day. Some days more than others, especially if things are going really rough. Like when the PMTA thing actually kicked in, those days there I was checking a lot of people, and I'm glad I did because quite a few were not doing well. They were really freaking out.
Yeah, like I was going through some shit. I know you've seen that. Yeah, that me posting something about not having a good day. It was mainly because of my back and shit was still bothering me, and this new bed ain't helping. But recently I did get some pretty sad, upsetting news. Sadly, my 5-year-old great nephew and his mom's other baby daddy both tested positive for COVID this week. So, but everybody else, like my niece and her 2 other kids, they got tested and they came back negative. So it's just her ex-boyfriend and her oldest son that have it. So
yeah, it's scary. Also, while you're on that note, because you kind of brought it up, Texas Mama's mother is positive. So far, her and Caitlin have been negative. So, send them your love if you can. it's tough. And they also went without water for the first like day and a half. That her mother tested positive, went without water. All they had was hand sanitizer to wash up with. That you want to talk about triggers? Oh, I would be bouncing off the walls if that were me. So, yeah, um, the weather in Texas has not been kind to a lot of our family. I'm sure that many there have been triggered. Anybody in
Oh,
that
I know what
well,
Texas weather's like. I've been to Texas, so I know what it's like.
it's not necessarily just Texas either. I mean, everybody's had kind of a weird year for weather for the most part. But I will say that Texas got hit extremely harder. I mean, it's been nonstop. They haven't had a break. The tropical storms this year, I haven't seen them this frequent in a long time. It's been many years since we saw them back to back to back, and it seems like this whole year. I mean, 2020 we had all kinds of issues with the pandemic and everything else. 2021 is a combination of still dealing with the pandemic to some degree, and on top of that, we have some of the most bizarre, severe weathers that we've had in decades. So it's been challenging. So the best thing we can
Yeah,
do is be there for one another.
it's mainly because of how global warming is happening and shit. All their predictions about how the world's gonna not be good someday unless we
Yeah,
change the way that we're living even more now. I mean, most of us have to wear masks and stuff when we go out in public. I I'm fully vaccinated and everything. I've never had COVID, but I still wear a fucking mask when I go out in public. Mainly when I go out in public in a different town. I don't really wear a mask in town here because we're very low on the count of cases here in my town because mainly people are at home doing nothing or they're at work where they probably have to wear a mask and social distance and everything anyways.
if anybody's in an emergency situation and they can't get a hold of somebody, the link that Addie just dropped, whether you want to do it online or call that number for the suicide prevention lifeline, that it's your it's there. I mean, it can hold you over at least until you can talk to somebody that you trust, or maybe it's anonymous that you need. It's there. Use it. I mean, it's not an easy thing to make that call, but once you make it once, it'll get easier if you ever get there again. Anything you do gets easier the more times you're able to do it, and it's better than the alternative. Thank you, Addie, for the links. It's it's tough because we have had such a rough year. We have seen people lose their businesses, and you can't tell me. I mean, that's created anxiety for many of us. I know Nick has mentioned this a few times, both on his lives and we've had private messages about it. That's really affected him, and it's really affected me. We've seen people we've known and grown to be a part of our family, extended family, and they literally had to close shop. Some of them are affected both emotionally and financially. I mean, Stan walked away for a while and he's starting to come back again, and it's good to see him. And please, somebody go, everybody, if you can and you're into cars at all, go give Tenacious TX a follow. Actually, technically Tenacious. Give him a follow and watch him. Support him because he's starting to come back and starting to, show videos again. I mean, it's about the cars now instead, but you know what? Support him. He had to give up a lot, and it was all things he loved for the community, and it's really tough. And it hit him hard, and we knew it. We saw it in the last few shows. And now that he's coming back, we support people like that, and then they can stick around, and we can see them more, and we can be sure they're okay. And honestly, he's become a part of my family as well. So, there's many like that. We have RJ, and the family grows constantly. It really does. And I try my best. I mean, obviously, like RJ saw the other day, I can people can be missed like that. That's why you have to sometimes, if you're dealing with something and nobody knows about it, you need to reach out, because we do our best to try and reach out as a community and kind of spider web it out, but people can get missed even then. But if they let people know, people will help. We've proven that within the Discord. The Discord, I've seen things in that Discord that have literally given me faith in humanity all over again. People being there for one another. That's what my vision for it was, and it worked. It still works. It's not as busy as it once was, but you still see if someone's going through something, they post it, someone's there. Within a few hours, you'll see a post, and the next thing, that person, once they realize someone's in crisis, you'll see more people jump in and try and help. And you're bound to find somebody that will help you in the way you need. And it doesn't mean everybody there is going to say exactly what you need or do what you need. But that's what a community is for. It takes a village. Even if it's a horror village like Lando's. Yeah. But thank you guys. And you know what? This just keeps sharing the love right now, because that's what we really need this time of year. With everything going on in our community. With everything going on with the weather changes. With everything going on with the severe weather conditions. What we really need to do is spread love and positivity. It's not an easy thing to do when you're not feeling it yourself, but the more you spread it, the more you feel it. It's weird how you can help yourself by helping others. Yeah, I was thinking about that too, Lando. Last year I was spoiled. I had heated seats in the other car, but the Caddy does not have heated seats, which I find weird. Upgrade car, downgrade comfort. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like my mom's car that she doesn't really drive ever. It has a heated seat on the driver's side, not the passenger side. But the Caravan that we normally drive around in, that doesn't have heated seats at all.
So what do you go sit and pretend you're driving and sit there and ah?
Not really. I've sat in that thing right after my mom turned it off, and man, did my ass feel like a steak.
Thank you for the link for Stan's channel there, Addie. Yeah, please, if you don't already give him a follow and support, please do. It's good to see him back and posting new content again. And he's smiling more. If you watch every video, he's got a little bit more of that twinkle back in his eye. Someone sprinkled a little bit more of that unicorn dust on him or something. uh, Heated blankets to the car. I told her that day. He goes, that's it. We need another car. Because they don't have the heated seats. Because honestly, we've been spoiled with that the last few cars we've had. So it's kind of sad when you don't have that option anymore. Because I was surprised. At first, I thought I'd never use this feature. When you're young, you're like, yeah, well, this is pointless. And then as your back starts to hurt a little bit more, you sit in that seat and it's like, my back's been hurting all day. Oh, yeah, it's right. Heated seats. And you hit it and you're like, oh. You don't even want to get out of the car. So, yeah.
I got my heated pad that you can hardly see because of my background, but I do use that thing from time to time, and normally I have that thing on high because medium just ain't enough heat.
And anyone who deals with seasonal...
Put it on my back and I'm good.
Anyone who has seasonal depression issues too, remember, you can get a light. Some of the new LEDs, like the 5K ones, will actually work with decent success. You don't necessarily have to spend a fortune on a light. Just get yourself one of the clamp lights. I have one up there that I didn't use because it's too bright. But get one of those clamp lights, just put that there, put a nice 5K bulb in, nice bright one, and you will be surprised how much just a few hours a day, turn that on and sit in front of it and maybe read. Put it like even behind you. It doesn't matter. As long as that light's there and it gives you the illusion it's really bright daylight, it can trick your mind into feeling like it's more like a summertime or something. It can, sometimes it's just not that lack of light messes with your brain. Look at that. It's an RJ. Yeah. Is he muted?
Possibly.
Yes.
Yes. He did this last night. We were watching him talk for a few minutes and we realized, should we let him? Yeah, okay. Hey, RJ, you're muted. It was a good five
Yes.
minutes of him talking to himself. It was funny.
Yes, you did. And I hated you for that.
Well, to be honest with you, we thought at first you were talking to the other half. So he was like, ah. And then afterwards, we're like, yeah, he's talking to us, isn't he?
No, he's talking to himself.
Yeah, he literally was. He just didn't know
Yeah.
it. Yeah, the tens units
Normally,
use
when I
electrical
do that,
shocks.
they lock me up. So
Oh.
Mallory, that can also stimulate your muscles and stuff, especially in the wintertime when maybe not walking around as much or getting out. You know, sometimes those tens units actually can make a difference. I'm sure RJ, I mean, I've had to deal with it before. RJ, did you have to deal with that with any of your physical therapy? Some of the tens units a little bit to bring back muscle tone?
Every time I ever had to do physical therapy, I'd have to do like a 30-minute TENS unit session.
Yep.
And I've had like 20 different runs of having to do physical therapy stuff.
Yeah, so, any of these things help. And just like it tones the muscle for that, it also tones your muscles and can make it so you feel like exercising. It's weird. It can, because you're using your muscles, next thing you know, it feels like you get a burst of energy, like, oh, I gotta get up now. Whereas before you
I
could
mean,
just be the couch potato.
I mean, even like a small thing that can like be a massive change for you. Well, for a lot of people, exercise, going for walks and hikes and stuff like that. That stuff is a godsend.
And if you have goals, like blowing up the local bathroom, and then seeing how long it takes for someone to go in. Achievable goals. That's it. Yeah, there you go.
why do I have a weird feeling you're talking about me?
Because of our conversation today. Oh, it was hilarious. So, but that actually is one of those things too. That humor, humor is another way of positivity can go around. Now, there's possible situations where someone is sensitive to the humor because they're dealing with stuff and maybe even more sensitive than usual. Try to understand that, and then obviously, quick to apologize. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it in a negative way, but at the same time, if you can keep that positive humor, especially sometimes with that adult twist to it, sometimes that's really what you need to kind of let everything melt away. Because if you don't take it a little bit over the top and you keep your humor just at that level, it helps, but it doesn't get rid of the anxiety. It just kind of like, okay. And it's right back. Whereas if you really take it a little farther, sometimes it's like, oh my God, that's so hilarious. I'm back down, but I'm here. I'm not down here. So, yeah.
That was like one of the best things in the military is everybody had just a twisted sense of humor. And it didn't matter how messed up the situation is. Didn't matter what was going on. Somebody could say one thing and that would change everybody in the squad. I could change everybody in a heartbeat.
If you had a good cadence too, some of those cadences were pretty raunchy. Um,
But some of them would get you fired up so quick.
oh, they would. Yeah. The more hilarious they were, the better it was, actually. And you didn't mind 10 miles. It's like 10 miles, but you're like laughing kind of as you're going. But you're also keeping tempo all at the same time.
Yeah.
You could hear it too, because if you're doing like the regular one, you just kind of like everybody's kind of just kind of muttering it. And then you get one of the good ones, and everybody's like yelling at the top of their lungs for 10 miles. It's like, I don't even know how we did it. You'd think we would have been out of breath by the time we got to the end. Never were. Yeah. That's kind of proof that it works right there. It's always been one of my correlations, too, is thinking of the cadences and how you could go 10 miles, and by the end, if you could change the cadence up a few times, get some funny ones in there, or some really, usually pretty raunchy ones, actually. By the time you got to the end, it's like it didn't feel like 10 miles anymore. Whereas if you just sat there with the original, just, huh, it'd be like, this is 20
It was just
miles.
a grind.
Yeah,
It
grind.
was just a grind. But whenever you got the one that would take you somewhere else mentally, uh it would always do something. Like ones that took me into a good place was all the ones that I heard during basic training.
Yep,
Like
exactly. Yes.
the rock steady cadences, because I lived in rock steady barracks, uh 119 barracks in Fort Benning, Georgia, whenever I went to basic. All of those would take me back to day one of basic training. And that was the best. That was just the best time.
Yep. So, yeah, let yourself have a little fun. Make sure you take some time out. Lando, actually, the show, like I said, thank you. It does help me make sure I take some time out at least every other week. If I didn't have that, there's been weeks I would have probably not taken a break at all because I'm dealing in like chaos mode. Everybody's dealing with something. I'm trying my best to try and tether everybody back together when those crazy moments are going. And it's become like it's a job, but it's a job you love because I don't mind it. It actually helps me through my day. The thing I forget about sometimes is sometimes someone else gets affected by the fact that I haven't taken a break in like a week, two, three. So, yeah, sometimes I forget that. She reminds me, don't worry. She's gotten used to the play. Hey, you haven't even talked to me like in 2 days. Oh, okay.
I'd be like, is
RJ
that a
hasn't
bad
talked.
thing?
RJ hasn't talked to us in 5 minutes. That's because he's muted. Um,
No, I am not.
last night.
You said
Look at
that. You said
RJ.
that.
RJ was ignoring us for 5 minutes, but he was pretending to talk. That's what was going on. Yeah.
You said that, and I had to look next to my name to see if there was the mute logo.
Hey,
It's like,
Alan.
wait, what? No, I'm not. Like sometimes for me, it sounds stupid, but it's just the way that I cope sometimes. I love living in chaos for like a couple of weeks, just to know I can still get through it and be as together in there whenever I'm done with it as I was whenever I walked into it. I don't know why. I think that's just because of like being in the military as long as I was, and just the constant just shitstorm of what was happening every single day. I like I love living in a little bit of chaos.
We talked
Just a
about
little
that
bit.
last night about how things transition. Even though you can take you out of the military, you don't take all of it out of you. It's
You
become a part of you.
take like a percent out of you. That's about it. Like I still do my day-to-day grind is still active duty status 2 years ago. Wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, go for a mile run, come back, exercise, go to the gym, and then actually go to the gym to do MMA training. And then my day starts. Go home, make breakfast for the missus, hang out with her, play with the cat, go to work. It's every day.
Mallory, one of the things for me is I couldn't do anything for my son. For what happened, I did all I could do to try and stop what happened and losing him. You know what I can do? And I realized this, and I for the longest time I kind of lived with that, like being my primary like staple. I thought I was doing okay, but I didn't realize how depressed I still was until I started helping in the community more, and I realized this is something I can do. I can make a difference here, and that's what drives me to keep trying and keep going because it does. Every time you think it would be overwhelming, but it's not. It's kind of the opposite. It's kind of like it fills that empty void that, or I couldn't help my son. I can do some good here, and that's the reason why I can push beyond. But I've always been that type of person. Maybe it's the military background. Actually, it was before that. It's the way I was raised. You work hard and get things done, and you just keep going until things are done. And considering this will never be done, it's always going to be a thing. I don't feel a need to take a break. I I do really well under like extreme situations when it comes to working as well. And this is one of those things. It's always keeping my mind going too. Your mind can get kind of lax over years of just kind of living mundanely going through. I got hair in my eye or something. Um, Going through the same motions every day, just surviving, and you think you're doing okay, but you're really not. It's just surviving, and I'm not surviving now. I'd actually say that for the most part, I'm thriving, even though I'm still dealing with the daily grind. But mentally, I'm thriving versus what I used to, and that's thanks to everyone here. It really is. Lando's thinking something. He's got that real serious look.
No, I'm just blanking out again.
Oh, okay.
I tend to do that. Sober or not.
So, RJ, did you have a good night last night?
Oh, dude, I gotta see you with that fucking cowboy hat on. It was great. It was great.
I need a still photo of this.
Oh, it was magnificent. Those long, luscious locks. Ah, it was just the essence of beauty.
Don't even get me started on this man's hair.
Oh, I love his hair. I'm working on it. It's getting there, but
Yeah, me too.
Alan, that's really good, though, the exercising. And it's never too late to start or even too small. It can be as simple as just like standing up and down from a chair at first, just getting your back used to getting up and down your legs. I know a lot of people have I know I have knee pain and back pain. I'm pretty sure RJ has some serious pain with his body, especially in the wintertime.
I mean, like my thing is I don't take medicine for like any of my I never have uh because in my mind I've twisted medicine and okay, we're going to give you this painkiller, you're going to take it for 3 months, it's going to ruin your liver, and then we're going to give you another medicine, it's going to ruin your kidneys, and now we're going to give you another medicine, it's going to ruin your stomach. So I just don't take medicine. I have a weird ideology of pain to where
Hey, Derek.
the military mindset is live with it, live in it, enjoy it, live with the pain. You put yourself in that situation, live with it for a little bit.
Yep.
After a while, you're not going to feel it anymore. To the point
true.
that I like I told Tim last night, I have 3 knee reconstructive surgeries in one leg, I have 2 in the other, I have a fake hip, I have a fake shoulder, I'm missing 2 ribs. I've had 387 staples, 19 plates, and 197 screws put in my body, thanks to the U.S. government for doing stuff on deployment. I'm wrecked, but I love waking up for that first 5 minutes and feeling horrible. Like my legs locked up, my knees locked up. I can't move my right leg because my hip is just stuck in place. That sort of pain, that is something that I love. I love that stuff. But I'm this weird individual to where I go straight from that to where I'll run flat sprint for a mile, because from my house to the end of the road is a straight mile. So I'll dead sprint it. Done. I'm just weird. I love pain. I just love the sensation because I can't feel a lot anymore.
Oh, you're RoboCop.
Yeah. It's just the sensation of pain for me, because I don't have a lot of feeling left in my body. I just love it because I just have so much dead nerves and just dead groups in my body. I just love to be able to feel pain sometimes.
See, I don't mind the pain as much. The dull, numbing pain. I'm kind of used to it. Kind of like you're kind of describing is that everyday pain. My problem is when I do take it too far, like with my knee. If I push too far and then the lubricant comes out of it, you don't have the lubricant anymore, and then I'm dragging it because you literally can't tell your knee to bend. It just won't. It just locks in place, and it's just a stiff, and you can't do anything about it. You just kind of wait it out. There's nothing you can do, and that's what happened to me when I got discharged, was because of that happening while I was on a march after that cold weather drill. Exactly what happened. It locked up, and I could drag it, but I couldn't actually bend my leg. So And that annoys me. I think that's actually probably the reason it annoys me more, because that was a moment where I felt like I let myself down, and there's nothing I could have done about it when that locked up. So it's kind of like that PTSD moment. It locks up. It's like, oh, not again. And
Yeah.
that all my mind always goes back to that moment. So yeah.
Like I do MMA and all that sort of stuff. I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing, and kickboxing. I do that every single day. I've done that for years now, and it's like just being able to push myself to where my body fails. That's whenever I know that it was a good day, because it otherwise, if I can bend my legs, if I can bend my knees, I didn't push myself enough. I didn't push myself enough. That was something that I always held myself to a higher standard than a lot of other people that were next to me when I was overseas. Was what what are you willing to lose? Because I'm willing to lose everything for my job and for the people that are back home, whether I see eye to eye with them or not. I'm willing to lose everything. And I lost a kneecap, I lost a shoulder blade, I lost a hip, I lost 2 ribs over there. I lost a lot. I was willing to lose everything because of it. And just being able to push myself to do that sort of stuff got me in a position mentally to where I was strong enough to push myself through anything that I possibly ever want to do from that point till the day that I no longer exist. It's just I'm able to push myself through things that are unimaginable. And I love the fact that I can do that. It sucks sometimes, but it's just being mentally strong enough and physically strong enough to do that to myself makes me kind of happy. It gives me something to be proud of. As weird and twisted as that remotely sounds.
Oh, good, Alan. Thank you too to remind me. He reminded me of something, and not on purpose, but he says on mixed berry menthol, and these. I was just thinking to myself, I got to get myself a nice cooling menthol vape or something, or WS-23 vape for wintertime for my cold weather asthma. That's going to start kicking in soon. It won't be long before we have cold enough weather for it. And I got to get one that I really like, because I'm sure the one I liked last year is not going to be good enough for me anymore. Thank you, DIY community, for getting me so involved in it. I can't stand anything else. I keep trying to go back to commercial juices, and it's like, nope, nope, I give up. So, yeah. It's funny, once you start, you can't stop. Now, you kind of been spoiled lately a little bit too with that, with the last few times, because you're going to have the same problem. You start going to back to, if you ever go back to the regular commercial juices, the last ones you've had, including Will's, are a little bit, Will's is the closest, but it's actually still a little above and beyond like your regular run of the mill commercial juice. So it's going to be difficult when you go to go back to it and be like, yeah, okay, I'll force. This is a hate vape.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard because, like I said in the past, I can't afford this shit anymore. So when shit like this ends, I honestly have no idea what I'm going to do.
Spanish rice. That's what matters. Spanish rice is the shit.
Spanish rice, a little bit of pico.
Yep. That's it. RJ and I are gonna keep on start having wars once we get some flavorings that hit the right notes. We're gonna have like savory wars. We've had this discussion.
The battle of the savory savants, as my missus coined the name.
Yep. It's that one. That's the first savory I've ever had that I actually liked, and like I said, I thought it was gonna be a hate vape, but I enjoy it. So.
The bottle that I made last Tuesday, I killed that by Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff was delicious. And that was a 30 ml bottle. I killed that in like 2 days.
I've been killing a lot more juice lately since this thing's come in, because I find that I really like this thing. It's not just because it's from Addy. It's also because it vapes really freaking good, and I vape a lot more than I used to. Again, I'm back to where I was. I used to be able to grab a little of this, grab a little of that, and it's like, it's okay. And I just never felt quite satisfied. Now I'm starting to feel satisfied and enjoying it more, and I'm burning through all my DIYs, which is good because I had way too many stacked up. But but the problem is I want to get into the ones that have to steep, and the ones I made lately are all steepers. And it's like, I know I got other stuff, but this is what I want.
I got
He's
like
like,
10 more
oh,
bottles.
really?
I got like 10 more bottles sitting in my living room. Yeah,
It's okay.
I have like 11 mods in rotation right now.
I still got to
Just
send these out to you, RJ.
dude, send me that blue cheese, man. I
That's
want
what
some of that
I don't know if it's blue cheese. It's cheese, whatever that
cheese of
cheese
some
is.
sort.
Cheese of some sort it might be Parmesan. I don't know. It's either blue cheese or Parmesan. It's the one from the UK challenge that they had over there.
Oh man.
I wound up getting 3 of them, and it's like, it's something. There's something, I will say. Apparently, the smell's worse than the actual taste, because the taste wasn't horrible. But you should have seen. I mean, literally, from 3 rooms away, I started hearing swearing and cursing while I'm on a live because it smelled so bad in the house. On one hit, 3 rooms away, within 30 seconds, you could smell it. That's strong.
I'm down. I'm up for it. I'll just do it whenever the missus ain't here.
She's gonna walk in the house. What did you do? Did you rip?
Like she does that. She does that regardless. Just with some of the stuff I whip up. Like she hates tobaccos, but I love tobacco flavored juices. So she'll walk in. What is that? Tobacco and custard. Ah, get the Febreze. Okay.
It's like I really
Sorry.
wanted this to be just a shake and vape, but the blue caramel blueberry espresso, it could have been. The caramel might be a little steep, but it's the cream, the sweet cream I put in there, along with the caramel. They need that steep. It's like I just want it to taste great now, not just okay. Yeah, I know. You know that. I don't know. It's sad because we do have this division line with the DIY community too, and this is something that's. I know that this is kind of a little bit of a trigger for me, believe it or not. It's not triggered to the point where it's going to totally destroy me, but it does trigger me a little. I hear all these great UK flavors. For us to get them, if we can get them, we'd almost have to have them sent to somebody, then sent to us to get them, which would cost a small fortune in order to get certain flavors. And unfortunately, it's very similar for them to get the VSO flavors, which we've learned to love. It's hard for them to get them. So it's kind of, I find it very sad that, that part of the world is not quite as together as it was even. I mean, some of these flavors were available before, but now because of current legislation, they cut off a lot of supply lines. Oh, look, Lando in a mask. Um,
Too much hair. It looks
God,
more like you, buddy.
God, you would. I have to. You know what? I have to show my missus your Nels podcast. Her parents' house is like Halloween year round.
oh, good.
For
I
you,
like her already. I like her family already.
to where you walk in and there's like a mini Michael Myers statue just sitting next to the door, and there's just one whole wall is just vampires, and then you have just your quintessential classics of uh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jason, pictures of Freddy Krueger, and then autographed pictures of Freddy Krueger because they go to conventions every single year. So they have 1.5 million pictures just with the people that played all the horror movie villains, and it's absurd sometimes.
I was still happy. Like I don't know if I showed you, but we showed Lando the picture with the guy who played Jason Voorhees in the last one. I mean,
Was it Kane something?
no,
No.
it's he also
that the
played
guy
Swamp.
before?
He played Swamp Thing too. He was in
Or is that
Swamp.
the guy that? Or is that
I don't know.
guy before
He's
him?
like that tall. It's like, he also played the Predator too in one of the last Predator movies, the one Predator versus Alien or whatever. Yeah, But yeah, with the last Rock and Shock, the last one they're ever going to do because they did shut it down last year and they're not bringing it back, I guess, which is really sad. And yeah, I 1 to 2 weeks. I agree with you, Mallory. I still taste it. Some people say they can go like 3 4 days. I still take that off note for at least a solid week, if not two. On most creams and stuff, and caramel too. The caramel I can kind of get away with in about a week. But it's just I got two of them sitting here that I really, really want, and they're not quite there, and it's driving me crazy. Because that's what I wanted. I just want to like, drink it. There you go. Thank you, Lando. There's the link, by the way. But yeah, we just triggers are important to deal with, and it's most important to make sure you have that safety net. When, especially if you know maybe it's a time of year you know you're gonna be triggered. If you got anniversaries coming up of deaths, birthdays, or just things that happened. It could be a date. A lot of people are triggered by September 11th. You know, that's, and understandably so. Even, I mean, especially with their kids and they saw this happen, you know, on TV. It's the first really traumatic event of their life. So it can be dates for any reason. Some people just buy Veterans Day because it reminds them of, lost loved ones or friends. And Memorial Day, same thing. The different things like that. Like those days actually hit me hard because I have lost family that were in the military, and it does hit me hard. And I think about how much of my family's been in the military and how many of them, even if they didn't pass away from it, they spent their lives dealing with that. And for the right reasons. It's not the people going in that really are the problem. It's sometimes the politics behind these wars are kind of a little shady. But that's not saying that that's not what the people out there on the front lines are fighting for. And then come back and lose some of their rights and civil liberties they used to have when they left because that was taken away while they're on deployment is just like frustrating.
To this day, the biggest fuck you that I've ever witnessed is the ideology that just because you're in the military and you have a child and you're a man, you have no rights to your child.
And that's insane.
Yeah.
And
my brother lost his kid because he was in the military, and at that point in time, his fiance just up and fucking left. That is the biggest fuck you. He has no rights to his child because he's not a human being. He's a government piece of property.
One of my ex's best friends was deployed. They considered a brother, and that's what his ex did. Well, they got married just before he left, and then she divorced him, took a bunch of his paycheck away from him, like permanent alimony, child support, and they weren't even married for 3 months before he left.
Yeah.
And while he was on deployment, she left him for my ex's brother, real brother. So even twisted even more. It's like no, and then she didn't stay with him either. But yeah, it's just it's unfortunate. And yeah, same thing. He came back and he had to fight for his rights to see his kid, even just to get visitation, because he was considered an absentee father because he was overseas. It's like I was fighting for our country, but I'm an absentee father. What? Well, I was deployed for my country. I shouldn't necessarily fighting, but yeah, it's just insanity. That's just not right. We don't protect our veterans like we should.
No, not at all.
Same with like medical. Everybody's like, oh, they got free medical. It's like they got base medical. They don't get all the perks. You get what you then you have to get specialists to sign off on stuff. It can take a long time. By the time you get sometimes things signed off on, what could have been dealt with in a simple procedure, all of a sudden becomes a major procedure with very minimal positive results because of the fact of deterioration over that time.
Yeah, like I took whenever I first got out of the military, I took the VA to court. I hit them with a full-blown fucking lawsuit because they were only trying to cover do full medical coverage on injuries that were strictly happened during deployments. But then you have things that lead from injuries from deployment, like my leg. I blew my leg out once. Had to do surgery on my MCL, and then come back the year after I was medically discharged from the military. My ACL went out, and it was directly related to the injury I sustained while I was overseas. But they didn't want to do medical coverage, so I went to court for 19 months to get them to be able to put in place coverage for injuries that were caused from an injury of active duty status. And I got screwed because of it.
And everybody send a little love towards Fresh 03. Just tell him, care about him. If love him. He's dealing with the same thing. VA is very slow moving, and it's actually what could possibly be taken care of in a shorter period of time. It takes a long time because you have to see one, wait, see another, and it is definitely the drawn out time between appointments is what's taking him so long to be able to get back to us and be on again, which I know many of us really miss him. So make sure and send him some love. So yeah, Adam, music man, right there. Man, did we have a discussion about music yesterday, didn't we? Mixing show, yeah, right. It was a music show.
Yeah. The after show was 80% music. During the show was like 50% music.
Yep. Yeah, but you know what? That's what I love about you, Adam. Really do. Actually, it wasn't just Adam though. Everybody got into that one. It's like, yeah. The evolution of music is really what that should have been titled.
Yeah, that's what a lot of that was.
Well, it is. There's a lot of evolution. There's some people that actually did really well, and it has changed, and it's going to. But like, some of us miss some of that the old band. Not necessarily the old sound, but the old band and the way they sounded.
The style, the sound.
Yeah. I do. For me, I liked the Black Album from Metallica, but it was really Injustice for All was their peak for me, and Master of Puppets. Those were the two I really loved, and the Black Album was good, and then after that, it's like it's okay. Except for the one we will not talk about because everybody's pretty much in agreement. There's one that came out. No, do I hear guitar?
They hit, yeah. They
I think somebody said Metallica.
like Metallica during like Master of Puppets, the Black Album, that time frame, it was just that grunge that metal became. That was just the essence of grunge before grunge was really a genre of metal music, that they left it and then they went to just
Metallica 1 was the video that really made me fall in love with the band. That was the video. It was on MTV. It's like, oh yes, this is my jam.
I don't know what that is. Something like that.
Oh yeah, Mallory, that commercial is hilarious. That commercial. Let's hide behind a wall of chainsaws where they won't. Yeah, they won't find us. It's such a true thing though when it comes to the horror movies. It's like, don't. Have you watched any horror movie ever in your life? That's not where you go. Hey, look at all the dead skins and bodies of all the animals outside this house. Let's hide inside.
It's the perfect spot.
Huh?
perfect spot.
It's
He'd
the
never
perfect
expect us
spot.
here.
Death and destruction.
There's blood on the door. Huh? Can't be ominous. Let's go in.
So inviting, this bloody door.
Oh, I'm gonna go hide in the woods and just sit in one spot until they find me. Keep going. Don't stop.
Also, people are dying around us. Let's have sex. Nothing bad will happen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't all this
right.
excitement doesn't all this excitement and gore turn you on?
Yeah, doesn't
Yeah.
this get you a little randy?
And
Ugh.
then you're getting stabbed while you're getting stabbed. It's the best of both worlds.
Yep. Stabbing while stabbing in a cabin. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Double penetration. Yes.
Yes, exactly. That's the true DP. So nasty.
Just look at all the first Voorhees movies. Every time someone had sex, they died. It's like, hey, that's an answer. You go to Crystal Lake, do not do anything.
No.
Abstinence the whole time. You might have a chance. You might survive.
Speaking of horror movies, did you see that there's almost like a bed and breakfast of the original house from the last couple scenes from the very first Scream movie?
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
cool.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's pretty
and the
nifty.
best part is the guy that plays Dewey. For a couple days, he was hosting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That's
saw that on
cool.
his Instagram because I follow him on there, and he saw. I even posted the video on my Instagram. He shared it or whatever.
Now he's got a point. You got a killer that's just slowly walking, and yet he keeps on catching up to you because you keep falling down and tripping, and then spinning your wheels. It's like, wow, I know this might be like scary for you, but you think you know how to walk by now. You could walk faster than what you're running.
My favorite thing is Kane Hodder, the one of the most prevalent faces and bodies of fucking Jason Voorhees.
Fuck
He
yeah.
was just I want to run one time. That's it. I only want to run in one movie for one scene.
You gotta give it to him, right?
Yeah. Like I said.
Gotta let the man run.
I mean, like he's the guy. He's the guy whenever you say Jason Voorhees, you just go to Kane Hodder because he was Jason the longest stint of the franchise of Jason Voorhees movies.
Yeah, he's the iconic Jason for sure, in my opinion. And I'm not huge into those movies either, but whenever I think of him or think of Jason Voorhees, I think of that dude playing him.
I
Just
know
his
how you liking
movements.
this turned into the horror movie one.
I
Little
mean,
music.
and just
I'm so trying not to rub my nipples right now from all the horror talk right now.
I mean, and just the sheer size of that man, his neck is like a fucking tree trunk.
Yep.
The missus has a picture with him,
Oh, really?
and like his neck was like just the size, like the thickness of her head.
I was
It
thinking
is-
this the other day because it was literally been like 3 days since we watched the third movie, and he's in it. And his neck, and that's what I was thinking when I showed the side of his neck. Is like, damn that bro. Either he's got a lot of prosthetics, that guy's got a tree trunk for a neck, and then
No,
you
it's
said
the
tree
same
trunk.
size as my thigh, basically.
Yeah, he's just a big abnormal human being. Like he has a basic gym regimen where he doesn't do like a lot of like heavy powerlifting, because they did an interview with him a couple years back about like what he does to stay in the shape that he was in to do the Voorhees movies. And he was just, I just went to the gym 3 times a week. Cardio, I did that a little bit for about an hour, and then just group exercises. That was about it. And
That is
man
actually true. Star Trek wearing a red shirt was a death sentence. You knew they were gonna die every time.
oh,
Dumb blonde taking a shower knows her friends are dying. Yeah. You ever notice that? I mean, why? I mean, let's go wash the blood off in the shower and leave the door open because that's safe. What? You watch your friends die. First thing you want to do is hop in a shower, make the noise of the shower, and leave the door so that someone can open it without it locking it. Wow.
Yeah.
You deserve your outcome.
Like Like you should be finding something sharp, or stabby, or
A gun.
hitty, or shooty. Sure,
Or shooty.
that'd be nice.
Shooty, stabby.
Punchy, kicky.
That is something I liked about that one horror movie, Lando, and we didn't really talk about it too much. Is the one with the Leprechaun movie? Was the fact that they actually finally tried to arm themselves, and then the
Leprechaun
girl
hood.
comes through and she kills her own friends.
Don't try and steal me, pot of gold.
It's like they actually did the right thing, but then they killed their friend. And then she like totally broke down because she just literally split her friend's head in half. So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
that's
I haven't watched those
understandable.
movies in so long. The
Oh,
Leprechaun.
it's
the
the new-
first one
that's
not
the
too
new-
long ago. Somebody was talking about it on a YouTube channel, and I was like, I gotta watch the first Leprechaun.
This is the
Also,
new-
fucking what's her name? Jennifer Aniston's in it. Come on.
I
This
haven't
one
watched
here
that in
is
so long.
more recent. It's got the Hogswallow or whatever, the one WWE.
Oh
Super-
yeah, that
Yeah.
fucking shit movie.
But it was a
That one
terrible movie.
sucks.
But that one scene, I will admit,
Explodey,
they did
yes,
that
Eric.
well because I could see someone breaking down if they just like literally accidentally cut their friend's head in half. I could kind of
Yeah.
see where that would be a little traumatic.
Sure.
Yeah, that one I've only seen once and I fucking hated it.
I'm good with
I mean,
I'm good with the
he
one
doesn't
time.
even look
Never
like
again.
a fucking leprechaun. It looks like some type of fucking creature, not a
It,
leprechaun.
honestly, he looks more like Gollum than he does like a leprechaun. He looks like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, only a grosser, weirder version. Yeah, I don't understand
There's a
that at all.
gross Irish version of Gollum.
No, there's no Irish to it. I don't even, other than the fact they're in Ireland, and the people around there speak it is Irish, right?
In a brogue, an Irish brogue.
And they other than that, and they talk about a pot of about gold, not even a pot of gold, just riches actually from the gold mine. Other than that, it's like, what's this have to do with leprechaun? There's stones, but whatever. I don't know. That was a very confusing movie, the worst one we've had recently, actually.
That
So.
wasn't for the show.
Oh, that wasn't even for the show, was it? We just happened to watch. We watched it from one of the shows. You know how they always give you a suggestion. We kept watching, and it was a mistake. And not picking that one for a future episode.
And it was a mistake.
Yeah, the first time I watched, I actually rented it from one of the gas stations that used to.
I'm sorry you wasted your money.
rent movie. Well, it was only like $2 to rent the movie, but
I'm still
it
sorry.
wasn't worth it.
I'm still
I mean,
sorry.
I rented other movies. I mean, I rented a couple comedies, horror, obviously.
You guys can stay in here for the after show and stuff, but I'm gonna get off here. So the people that are gonna go and watch Nick, because he'll be on in just a few minutes. In fact, actually Legion's got a retro vape thing going out. Give a shout out to them too. You know, our friends overseas. They really, they've actually been pushing this family thing. They've been pushing for advocacy for a really long time. I gotta give Breeze Tones and Legion a lot of credit and for the work they did over there to try and negate some of the legislation last year, and at least postpone it. I mean, seriously, we saw our friends actually make a difference. That was impressive. There's positives. There's lights in, at the end of the tunnel every once in a while. That said, I am going to let everybody go so that they can go watch the show because we want to go in and support our buddy Nick. Banana Balls in chat tonight. It's always fun. Love you guys. You have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. And you can catch some of these guys over here. Where can they catch you guys quick?
Places. Golf T Vapes, Wednesdays, 9:30 Central. YouTube. EddieNarsons.com.
Golf Tees channel on Wednesdays. I'm No Joe in like 3 hours. And Instagram at my name, RJ Vapes. That's about it.
Yeah, and make sure you check out Eddie and the Arsons too while you're at it, since I didn't mention it.
And watch out for coming up. I believe Adam said Tuesday, a new song.
yes,
potentially.
Hopefully.
I'm hoping.
It's projected for Tuesday, New Music Tuesday. So
And
Yep.
Orlando, where might they find you, or what might you be doing soon?
Uh, Not really doing anything this week, but next week we will be reviewing a couple movies. As for that, you can find me on Instagram. That's Lando.715 on there. I post weird shit on there all the time. So if you have a weird sense of humor like the rest of us here on the panel, give me a follow.
All right. That said, reach out to those you haven't heard from, as you could make their day a better one, or save a life. You never really know. And yes, I said that backwards, but both are true. So yeah, take care, guys. Be positive. Love you guys. Bye. Bye.